Hi, everybody. I hope we're getting your attention tonight. Are you battling burnout? First of all, I love alliteration because I'm Monica Morales. But secondly, this is really pertaining to me. I don't know if it's pertaining to you. I don't know if it's COVID, 2 years into the pandemic, all sorts of stress in our lives with work, children, family, engagements, Zooming, not to Zoom, going to the meeting, not going to the meeting. I'm stressing out just thinking about it. But we have a clinical psychologist here. I call her Dr. Thea's here in the house. We're so happy to have you from NYULangone Health to discuss burnout and the impact on mental health. It's really a serious issue, but I have to tell you, Dr. Thea, I'm so excited to have you. Whenever we have a doctor in the house, it's so exciting. But I want people at home, if you can, if you're currently experiencing, let's say, burnout, okay, we're going to call it, I don't even know what that really means, but I feel it. Um, Make sure you put a yep or a thumbs up. I love this idea. Elle came up with this in our comments. Are you feeling burnt out? Are you feeling it? I'm feeling it for sure. Right, Dr. Thea? Are you feeling
Yeah,
it?
absolutely. And I think like the word itself, I like that it's actually not so clinical and like fancy doctory, it's just everybody can relate to the concept of feeling burnt out. Like I have nothing left to give. I feel like the ignition is not working. The battery's dead, any of those things that you want to say. But I think it's a concept that many of us can relate to, just feeling like we don't have a lot left to give in our lives right now.
Yeah, I'm actually checking right now for the comments. But how does burnout, if we just really quickly, how does burnout differ from general day to day stress?
I think general day-to-day stress, you come home and you talk to your partner about it, or you call your friend on the way home, or you text them and you say, ugh, today I had an annoying interaction, or, oh my gosh, I realized that I have to, get this fixed in my car, or I have to, I've kind of overscheduled myself for the day. It's a little bit stressful. Burnout, I think, is more of this like sustained, it's like sustained stress. And then over time, when stress continues to happen, we all of a sudden feel like we have a lot less in the tank, and every day starts to feel like that slog. And I think that's what you need to really start looking out for. Is this like a one-off? Is this like a, here and there I feel stressed, or is this every day it's starting to compound the feeling, and it's harder and harder to get up and do the things that I need to do?
I love these videos because these videos could come straight from my own living room, where I'm like this during the at night. But what I love about our show is that we're very practical. We like to give practical solutions to actual problems. We usually focus on housing. A lot of our viewers have problems with housing. We still do that, but right now we're really focused on battling the burnout. And this colder weather doesn't seem to help, Dr. Thea.
Yeah, well, I think when you think of colder weather, it's not just the temperature itself that's doing this. I think it just leads to, more isolation. Even we have like an ice storm coming tomorrow, right? Like you can't go out and do the things that you need to do. You also have to consider the elements, and like, it could impact your getting together with other people. We've also, seen this COVID spike with the colder weather, which, means probably less socializing and more stress with navigating decision making. And we also know with the colder weather, we have less sunlight. And we know that that can impact our vitamin D, our circadian rhythms. So I think it's a combination of like what kind of comes along with the temperature. Again, the isolation, less sunshine, and then also just like less things to do outdoors, which we really enjoy in the other seasons of our life.
That's so good to know that we're all experiencing this thing called burnout and why we are. I think that helps a lot. But I know the other day I wanted to tell somebody off, right? And I was going to make that call because you have a shorter fuse when you're experiencing burnout, I think. And my dog's picture popped up. It's my screensaver, so I saw my puppy, and I was like, oh. I can hold off. Like it was almost like, and are there signs of burnout that we can see or we can feel?
I think you just brought up a great example. Irritability. I always say that's like one of the secret ones, because you don't really think like, oh, irritable means I'm burnt out or I'm depressed. Like I'm just mad, but a lot of times when we're getting more irritable, even like at things that we used to not get irritable or get irritated by, it can be an indication that we're feeling that burnout. I know when I like snap at my toddler, or I, react in a way to an email that I know isn't a big deal, I realize like I'm probably being burnt out because the small things are you're having larger reactions and reactions that if I stepped back for a second, I'd say, okay, my reaction to that is a little overkill. And so kind of to help see when your reaction to a situation doesn't match up, that's kind of another good way to see like, whoa, I might be really burnout and I need to take a step back and make some adjustments. And we'll talk about what those are. But I think that's a perfect example that you brought up, kind of like, I have to, tell someone off right now. And if you give yourself some time to wait, that can also be a really great way to kind of assess how you're feeling more objectively.
It's like you always feel different when you give it some time. It's almost like if you do pause, everyone says pause before, and that is such a magic thing to do. But Drew Henson is saying, sometimes I feel being burnt out helping other people. I just don't want to be negative though. What can you tell Drew?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the helping profession. And so like, when you help other people and then you're not like filling your own tank with gas, that can be a problem. And so, you hear this kind of trope often about like putting your life vest on first, putting the oxygen mask on first, but you really have to think about, am I doing that? Am I doing that in practical ways? Like, am I taking care of myself? And many of us, if we help people or, whether you help loved ones and, your parents, your family members, and you feel like I have to do these things, but if you're not giving to yourself first, it's going to become even more difficult to give to the people in your life. And that's why we really have to take care of ourselves first. And you might feel like that's selfish or you might feel guilty about that, but I'm here as a doctor to tell you that that's really important for you to do. It's really important for all of us to do.
And let's go right to our tips here. We want the practical experience here. Okay, identifying your feelings. Ask yourself, am I feeling stressed about work? Am I more fatigued than usual? Am I feeling more irritable? Am I dreading going to work? So specifically work burnout. I guess what are some tips that you can like put you in a better mental space with your boss?
So, I mean, one of the things that we've seen in the data is that even with this whole, kind of time in the pandemic, that people are not taking their vacation and sick days and their personal days. We've even talked about the concept of mental health days. A lot of jobs don't require you to completely detail, why you're not feeling well. But if you're not feeling mentally well, emotionally well, use that as an opportunity to take a day for yourself and to use those vacation days. I know a lot of people have tried to set up vacation days, for something exotic. And if you can't go anywhere exotic with the pandemic, you might be hoarding them. But it's really important to even take one or two here and there to give yourself that space. And then while you're doing that, it's really important to actually set those boundaries. With many of us with work from home or even just kind of the expectations of work, it's really hard sometimes to disconnect from your work email, turn those notifications off, actually, really make a start and end to your day.
I love that.
And make it clear. Yeah. And give yourself like, and you can even ask your partner or someone in your life to keep you accountable, your roommate, like, hey, if you see me checking my email or getting back to work stuff after work hours, like, call me out on that.
I'll tell you a personal story is I see my husband doing it, or I see someone that I love doing it. So then I don't see it in myself, but I'm like, oh, that's so annoying that he took out the phone, and then I won't do it, and then it's a good reminder for me. I don't want to do it. So then, I don't say anything to him, but it reminds me what I'm supposed to be doing. But have a self-care plan. What does that mean?
So, I think it's about figuring out what helps to recharge you. And it could be one thing in a given week and then a different thing in the next week, or it could be like the same things. You might find that, I really know going on my Peloton helps me to like disconnect from the world and listen to some great tunes. And that's for me, that's self-care. Or I really love going for a walk in the afternoon with my dog. Or again, I love, watching a show with my toddler. Figure out what it is for you, and making sure that you're establishing that in your life and you're carving out the time to actually do that.
How often do you have to do that? Do you think it's daily?
Every day.
Every day? How much time?
Well, it depends on how much time you have, but you probably have more than you think. But even like 5 minutes of self-care, even, sometimes again, phoning a friend or taking a long shower or, having a face mask and reading a chapter of your book, doing even the little things can be really helpful. So we only have the time that we have, to carve out that self-care, but make sure that you are intentional about that and don't give that up because you really need that.
So is that the me time that we're talking about if you have that family kids burnout?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then what about social obligations? Let's role play a little bit here. Okay, so let's say hypothetically I have a friend that has someone that keeps asking for me to do something with them, and I don't really want to do it. So then how do I get out of it, or what should I get out of it? I feel guilty not engaging in social obligations. Like, What do
Yeah, well, again, you're identifying the guilt. So I'm feeling guilt, but I don't want to do this. And like, the more I think about it, the more I'm dreading it. And I don't really have the bandwidth. I'm doing all these other things. So here's what I would say to say, like, you know what, my plate is over full right now. Could this person help you? Or, let me know, next time, and I might have the bandwidth. But right now I've got a lot on my plate. I can't do that. But, or suggest an alternative, like, hey, why don't we get together in next month? Or why don't we revisit this
Ooh,
in a
that's
little while?
good. Yeah, like I think the next month thing would be good. Maybe I'll feel different next month. You never know. Buzzwords like get more sleep, meditate, write in a journal. What else can someone do?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think those can feel like more things to do, but again, I think those are good places to start. I think also, mindfulness, it's about just being in the present. And I always tell people, enjoy that morning cup of coffee, like, enjoy the moments that you do have that bring you kind of that relief, even if it's like, listening to a song in your car and you're feeling like a positive feeling. Identify those and be all in those moments, because I feel like a lot of us can feel currently like we're wishing our lives away. And I think just to be in them and to be present in them and to enjoy the moments that we can enjoy is a great place to start. But all those other things are awesome too.
Well, I really enjoy my producer, my beautiful producer, Elle. And when she pops up, that means someone's saying something that's really important.
Yeah, I'm seeing some comments. I'll pull up a couple on screen. Gio says that meditation really helps him, and that's something that works. Rosario says something that I think a lot of us are feeling, that she needs the sun, which I think the sun sets at like 4:30 now, so definitely agree.
Sneak outside.
Yeah, and then I like this one from Alan. He says that sometimes just turning off the phone and taking a break from tech has really helped him.
Wow.
And then I'm seeing another comment just asking about the pandemic at large and if there's any way to battle pandemic burnout and if that's a category.
Mm.
Yeah, I really tell people to limit your time with the news, limit your COVID talk. Once you have the data you need, like, we can find ourselves on these almost like merry-go-rounds of talking and talking and talking about it. What can I do about it? What can I do about it today? If I need to make a decision as a result of it, like the daycare is closed and I need to make a decision, that's one thing. But if I'm just talking about it and I'm just kind of going around and around, give yourself some limitations on the amount of time that you want to talk about the pandemic in a given day, and find other things to talk about. There's a
Can
lot of
I ask
other
you
great
though,
things going
like
on.
when I get home, I feel like, does it help to decompress and talk to someone about it, or does it just kind of bring it all up again? Like, what do you
Well,
suggest?
give yourself a boundary amount of time. Like, so if you say, hey, I want to talk about, like, oh, it was so frustrating at work today, so there was an exposure and da, 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 like, and you want to talk to your partner about it, talk about it. But then also, like, let's move on. If there's
Mm.
what can I control, what can't I control, when you've answered that question, and like, don't stay there, because I think the more that we kind of we call that
Right.
rumination in psychology, the more that we keep ruminating, the worse we can feel. So give yourself a boundary to it.
Ooh, I'm gonna hashtag rumination for this one because that's a good one. And is there a certain person that's more stressed out? I feel like moms, like as a mom, I feel like I have so much to stress out about. And also, I feel like I have a tolerance for stress because I am so used to being stressed out. So I guess, is there a certain person that stresses out more, has more burnout than the other?
Yeah, you just named those people, and you're right. It is women, it is moms. We feel the weight of the world.
Really?
So we could do a whole nother show on that specifically. But yeah, I mean, I think watching out for that guilt, delegating. We know women and moms have a tough time delegating, have a tough time asking for help. And I make so many of my patients, you have to ask for help. That's your homework. And they're like, don't make me, but I want to. So think about ways that you can delegate and offload some of the things that you're doing, and maybe write down all the things that you are doing, and then what are the things I can offload. Because sometimes I said this on Pix 11 another time, but don't die on Martyr Mountain. And it can be easy to say, I have to do all these things, but have you thought about potentially, like, asking your partner, asking a loved one to help with some of the things in your life? And that can actually be sometimes the hardest step.
Wow. And then we want to mention to people that this is very serious. Mental illness is very serious. So we're going to drop some resources for you if you are experiencing, let's say, depression or thoughts of suicide. We want to make sure you get help immediately. So we're going to have those resources attached to this. And Dr. Thea, you're just fantastic. I actually feel better just talking to you. I just
I feel
do.
better talking to you, so this is great.
And you know what? You just have such a great energy about you, and I think that's what we need right now. We need to talk about it. We need to, and I love all the emojis I see on our, but keep those emojis coming, especially happy face. Any happy face emojis after this? I know I feel better immediately talking to you, Dr. Thea. Any last message of hope, real quick before we go? Anything you want to say within 30 seconds?
Again, I think you're highlighting it. Talk to other people in your life about how you're feeling, and try to help. If we can try to help each other by saying, like, I'm stressed, but can you help me figure out what I can do to make my life a little bit less stressful? So again, don't get stuck in that merry-go-round, but you can like talk to other people and feel like, hey, we are all in this together. And I think that's a good reminder. And I think I feel better even just talking about this and reminding myself of tips I need to take as well. So using that in your own life to connect with people around you. We're all struggling. And so don't think just because someone's life looks perfect that it is. We're all struggling.
Ooh, that was good. That was really good. Hashtag rumination. But anyway, thank you, Dr. Thea. And I know you're going to come back. And my producers always say, "Oh, Amanda, if we help one person tonight, if you seek help or you need help, we'll have the resources here for you." You can always get help right here at Pix 11 with any of your housing issues or any of your problems. Reach out to us. We're always here for you at Monica Morales TV. Watch every night too. Don't forget, I'm on at 5:55, leading right into the 6 o'clock show every evening, Monday through Friday. We adore our viewers and especially our Facebook fans. Thanks for the emojis tonight. And suffering burnout, hopefully you feel a little bit better tonight. Have a great evening. We're making it happen.